Hello there. So my name is here back with another episode of this podcast only in room 15B. So today is the 17th of March. It's a Sunday. So yeah, we're working on a Sunday. I think that's mostly when this podcast is recorded. For the past few weeks, I think it's been Sunday, right? So today, as on all other days, we have some things to talk about, right? So this thing is busy making noise again, man. So I try to edit the thing. So today I made something like a mic of some sort to make sure that I don't shout, because whenever I shout and then I try to edit those things out, I tend to have something of some what's this echo, right? So what happened this week? What happened this week? What transpired? Okay, so what are we gonna talk about? Okay, let's talk about this idea, right? I think Bill Bear in his recent podcast also talked about this thing, and recent events, right? In the USA, there was this. I'm not sure it's USA. Let's just say Hollywood. There was this Me Too movement, right? So in this Me Too movement, most guys were accused of sexually harassing women or actors or whatever that was happening there. So there were huge cases, or many cases or instances where this was discovered, right? So what this has caused, or the results of this were that cases of sexual harassment were suddenly taken as a huge thing globally. So I tend to be part of this thing, feminist movements, right? So we have a case now where women are always right, especially when it comes to this thing of accusing people of sexually harassing them. Like they are believed, I think it's called believe the victim. And the consequences of that are, now people have left the notion that a person is presumed innocent until found guilty. And this week, what happened is this guy, Johnny Depp, this guy, I think what was the thing? I think I once watched a thing on SABC3. It's called Pirates of the Caribbean Island, something like that. So that guy, everyone loved that guy, but it came out that he abused his wife, right? So they were having a divorce or whatever. But recently, or last week, this ending week, it has come out that not only was this guy not abusing his wife, it was his wife who was abusing the guy, right? This guy lost his job with Disney, and people, or his character, let's say character, or personality, what do you call this stuff, has been destroyed, or reputation, right? Has been destroyed because of these allegations. And it has come out that the allegations were actually false, but then social media has done its thing, and this is a problem. I'm seeing it as a big issue, because now this guy Jordan Peterson, when he sort of analyzed this thing, he talked about, okay, so I'm a bit close to the mic, which is a problem. This guy talked about personally, right? So I didn't see it this way. Personally, the thing of right. So it's like this with relationships. Most of the time, people don't go into relationships because they've been hurt before, right? So they've had experiences where the other gender didn't act faithfully, or was hurtful, maybe physically or whatever. So their point is, or their stance now is, okay, because this this gender, right, this other gender, maybe I'm a male, because a female has abused me, so from now on every other female is the same as that one, so I'm never gonna get into a relationship again or anytime soon, right? And this turns out to be, you are saying, okay, because of that female, every other female is now guilty of the same thing. I do not give them the opportunity to prove themselves. Otherwise, maybe not because I don't think they even require that. Because now, if you giving someone an opportunity to prove, you're saying prove that you're not guilty to me, or you're not the same as that one. Maybe I can consider you. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to say, okay, I presume you to be innocent. I presume you to be different from that other person who hurt me before, but we'll see. So I'm just gonna let all things like not slide, but I'm just gonna open up to you. We're just gonna try and have this relationship, and I'm gonna presume that you are innocent and you're not the same as the past experiences I've had with your gender, and we're gonna take it from there. That's how it's supposed to be. So when you're saying I'm not gonna date females anymore, or not anytime soon, I'm not gonna have a relationship anytime soon, you're saying, okay, all females are guilty of the same treatment that I received from this one female that I once dated. So because of that, they're all guilty, so I'm not gonna have relationships anymore. And that is presuming that a person is guilty until proven innocent, right? So I think that's where it gets personal to some sort. That was the analysis the guy gave. And also another funny thing with this Me Too movement, what happened is that the companies now have been milking this thing for a while, right? These feminist movements have gotten companies to act morally, which is surprising because companies have never acted morally. We know that companies, their whole objective is to get profits, and once that is done, that is it, right? I'm not sure why recently now we've seen companies, it's Gillette had their ad criticizing masculinity, saying men acting badly or whatever they wanted to say, but busy supporting the movement, like feminists say men are oppressive. There's this thing, what is this thing called, femsplaining or something like that, where a person or a male is said to try to explain whatever a female is saying. Yeah, so companies have had like that run. Like I've seen mostly with ads in South Africa. I think we have not many people who talk against this thing. Investec supporting women, Nike, they did was this an ad recently about females and whatever. And all of a sudden companies now are now moral. I was talking, I think in the past few weeks, I think it was episode 2 or 3, where I talked about insurance companies, how they are not moral. What they do is not. There was that case where a guy didn't get, or his family didn't get insurance or the payout because the guy had high blood pressure while he died of a car accident, right? Any moral person will just give the money out and say, okay, this person was covered and he died of a matter unrelated. I think to a normal person, that wouldn't even come out as being a thought in their head, that they have to think, okay, this person had another disease while dying. I think the first thing, I mean, the moral human being would say, when someone has died and they had an agreement that they will have a payout afterwards, is to pay out the money, right? During the difficult time the family goes through, the moral thing to do will be to just pay out the money. But companies seem to be moral only when it fits them, only when, right? Here's the thing. Here's how it happens. So men usually don't talk out against these things, right? So men mostly feel like, okay, maybe we've been too harsh on women. Maybe we should. It's the same thing as this thing of being guilty until proven innocent, right? It goes through with. So every male now feels that they've been a perpetrator of whatever that men have been. What's this? Have been accused of, right? All the men in the world have been accused of, past and present. So now every male feels like, okay, maybe I am also part of the problem. Maybe I am the problem. That's why most people don't talk out against these things. And I think that's why companies are milking the narrative or whatever. Because it's easy. It's not even creative, right? That's what I said with the Gillette ad. Their concept is not creative. It's not something new, right? As a person who makes films, you could have come up with something better than that one. That one doesn't go anywhere. You're a company, stay in your lane, make profits, make razors, and yeah, that's it. Seems I'm shouting. I'm not sure why now. I've put the mic far from my mouth so that I can talk well. But I'm shouting, which I don't like. Because the editing part goes not well when I'm shouting. Okay, another thing I wanted to move on to, or wanted to talk about, was this. What's this thing? Research. I wanted to talk about research. How does it tie into research? How does it tie into? Okay, I'm not sure if it's me, right? But research seems to be taking too long. Am I ignorant for saying this? But research seems to be taking long, man. Okay, just think about it. The concepts, like mostly things that one would be interested in, medicine concepts that will improve our lives, and concepts that will prolong our lives, right? The quality as long and as well as the size of our lives, or is it called the size, the age, or whatever, right? So when you hear about those breakthroughs and the time that it takes from you hearing about them and from them being applicable and being available, it's damn too long, man. I think I learned about, what's this? I'm drinking too much water. I learned about this thing, STEM research, stem cells. I think I was doing grade 12, right? That's when I learned about this thing. But I know that it wasn't the first time that we learned about this thing. I think it was discovered many years ago. The endless applications for STEM research, right? The repairing of any human body, and not any human body, any human organ, right, in the body, being sort of replaced, right? Whenever you have a problem with your kidney, let's say, we'll just put in more stem cells relating to or stem cells, right? Then they will just differentiate into kidney cells, and then they make out the part of the kidney that is a problem to you, right? That is an exciting research, man, for human civilization, right? Saying, okay, we can start fixing bodies now. So recently there's been this article about STEM research in Japan, where they're waiting approval to use stem cells on the cornea of some sort, trying to replace or repair vision, right? So if this thing is successful, they're still going to monitor the approval, and then I think they'll use it on 4 patients. Okay, so I'm not sure if it's possible to tell, but I'm a bit pissed with this whole thing, right? So you might see that the recording was cut off, and it's been 2 hours now, right? So we have this problem of load shedding. Of course, one would say, man, you're gonna record a podcast, why don't you check the load shedding schedule, seeing in your area where now you're going to run out of electricity? Man, this thing is a big problem, right? This thing of electricity in South Africa, it's a huge issue. I think even the first time around, not just this year, the first load shedding, I'm not sure what year it was that we had first thing called load shedding. Thing is, that was quick, right? I was surprised how quick the thing was sorted out, right? And I knew sort of that there will be problems in the future. Where did they get the money to solve that problem so quickly, right? I knew that it will come to bite us sometime in the future, but I think it's time value of money concepts, right? It's better to have good life now and not worry about the future. But I think their approach back then when they fixed this problem wasn't so permanent, right? So people are up now, and it's gonna be a problem recording this podcast, man. And also relating to these things of nuclear energy, right? We're still in the issue of Eskom and not having energy, right? There was proposed a nuclear plant in South Africa a few years back. Obviously, there were ties to, I think, the Guptas or Russia with nuclear, whatever. So they think there was a lot of scandal regarding that thing, and the fact that South Africa could not afford at that time to pay R1 trillion for the plant, right? But I think we need to have something like that, right? So the common consensus, right, with people most of the time, it's we need solar energy, wind energy. That's what we use. We need to use, right? I think this was this past week. I think it was Friday actually, where there were school kids protesting the use of coal or whatever other means, when gas, I think, in producing electricity, all those things that cause global warming, right? So kids were protesting, saying that there needs to be a change and whatever. I'm saying that I read an article recently that it's not that easy actually to implement renewable energy, and renewable energy with its negatives as well is not an easy concept, right? And actually nuclear energy is much more preferable to what's this thing, to renewable energy, because with renewable energy the turbines turn around those, they kill birds, but not just any birds, the big birds, the ones that fly high like your hawks and whatever, and threaten their existence, right? That's one problem. The second problem is with solar power, that thing requires a lot of space, right? and the space that is required there needs to be some removal of some animals, the change in their biodiversity, change in their habitat, right? So they're talking about an area in USA, California, where they had to move tortoises. Is it called tortoises or tortoise or whatever? They had to move them from an area where they wanted to put solar panels, right? And some and most of those tortoises that were moved actually died because of that thing, right? These are all like new information things that haven't been raised in the past, right? It has not been something that has been thought about a lot, and also the cost, right, of renewable energy. I think in most areas, or they've said that in most areas where renewable energy is used, costs have risen by 30 to 50%, right? I think Germany has seen their electricity costs increase drastically. I think 500 billion or something like that. And California as well, the problem with them is that sometimes the sun just hits too much and they have to pay neighboring states to take the electricity. But also another thing is sometimes the wind just won't blow and the sun just won't come out. What about then? I think that there's a lot of issues that haven't been considered with the thing of just switching from non-nuclear coal to renewable sources, just drastically changing that one. Another thing is the support, the known support. I'm not sure how accurate is this, but this article was written by the president of these organizations, the ones that deal with renewable energy. So I think that's as accurate as it gets. So I think it's on Quillette, this article, why renewables won't save the earth. I think that's the headline. And the support from the gas investors, right? The gas, what will you say? Gas people who are in the oil industry, people who've made profits by being in the oil sector. Their support of these renewable energies, I think, or that guy thinks that it's related to it's related to them knowing the effects that that thing has on the environment and the challenges that it will bring forward. That is a very complicated matter. Also, I read, I think, like last few weeks, there was a study done in, not a study, research. There was a research in Australia where they've sort of improved the process of converting carbon or carbon dioxide back into coal, right? And the process, what they're saying is that initially it required a lot of energy, and it was very expensive to do that, to the point that companies like Shell and other gas or whatever, oil, whatever makers had to get, there's so much noise now. They had to get a subsidy from the government in order to carry out the process of converting carbon dioxide back into carbon. But now what has emerged and after this research is that this thing can be done in room temperature, meaning it doesn't need that much energy, which means that this process is going to be simpler, which means that there won't be any need to cease from using coal in the near future. So things are happening. Also, let's tie it back to what I was talking about before we actually were disturbed by Eskom, right? This thing of what's this thing of research and taking too long, right? I was talking about stem cells. I think stem cells have been around. The concept of stem cells has been around for a while, but man, its application, damn! I think it's the same thing with this thing of turning carbon dioxide back into coal. It's a concept known, right? It's something that we know, something we've heard of. I'm not sure if, or it's the fact that we learn about these things at school. It's just that you'd expect that they are applied now and they are heavily used. Like the benefit of stem cell research, not research, but stem cell. It's very enormous, man. It's a game changer, right? So you'd expect that there's something like that will be swiftly accelerated in its research and whatever, and applied to all the people having problems. I think also a similar concept was applied last week on last 2 weeks, where a patient with HIV, right, was given stem cells. It's called bone marrow, right? I think it's the inner part of the bone from a patient who is sort of a carrier for HIV, or whose cells are not affected by HIV. What do you call this thing? Resistant. The cells are resistant to HIV virus or HIV virus, whatever. So what happened is the guy or the person was healed of HIV, or HIV was not to be seen in their system. That's a step to the right direction, but it will take time for this thing to reach the public. Man, I'm not sure how this process could be like sped up, right? Because damn, you hear about these things, these new breakthroughs, but seeing them in action takes a while. I think you'll be sort of dead or towards that point. I think the guys that start their research obviously never see its application most of the time. Yeah, these things take too long and it's annoying because they can be very helpful. Oh, I think it's the same thing with if you've heard the concept of graphene, right? Graphene is a material that is just one sheet, like one layer material, and the thing is it's stronger than steel, it's very malleable, and that thing, it has various applications, right? Like foldable screens, that will be a very good place to start, a good thing to use in order to have foldable screens. That thing also has power to conduct electricity and can be used to make batteries, and batteries made with that thing could be a game changer as well. I think it's been said that when the thing hits the market, or when the thing starts being used for making batteries, charging your phone will be an abstract or a concept that is something that you won't do every day or very regularly, because those things could be so small but have a lot of energy pumped into them. Those are things we're excited about, but man, their application, damn, you'd think that companies like Samsung were in the forefront and also just apply that thing, but no, it's still a research, man. I think one will just have to stop reading research, but it's fun, right, for people who are in the I think I want to be also in that phase where you in the forefront of learning new things in the field, or in a certain subject or certain topic or whatever, because you get to discover new things, learn and whatever, and break them to the world. But them being applied, man, takes a lot of time. I'm not sure why. the cost of making it the thing now commercially available to everyone. That's the tricky part of this thing. Also, what was the thing I was talking about? Speaking of research as well, there was this thing going around that Apple AirPods were actually had radiation, right? So an Apple AirPods have to communicate with one another. So an earphone this side, an earphone this side. So the waves go through from this ear to this one. They pass through the brain, right? So they've been concerned that those things can cause cancer, and I think they've been linked to some other cases. Those waves or radiation that goes through your brain likely to cause cancer or whatever. Dangerous stuff, serious stuff, but it's one of those things that it's in research, as I was saying. Obviously could come out that no, that wasn't true. So we still don't know if that's the case or whatever. There's still a lot. There's still a lot that can happen with that case. It's a lot of things. This thing of research it's not boring, but I wish the application or the implementation was a bit faster than it is, right? So here's another thing. What's the other thing I wanted to talk about? Smartphones with 192 megapixel cameras. That's very weird. That's see these are exciting times somehow for technology, right? Because if you're thinking of a smartphone, I think to this point, I think it has been sort of agreed that 12 megapixels is the sweet spot for a camera, or not a camera, just a phone's camera, right? So it's been known that 12 megapixels is the sweet spot. I think some do 16 as well, and mostly Android phones, and also sometimes 20, but 12 works fine, right? What has been happening? I think it started back with Nokia. Back in the day, they released the Lumia phone with 40 megapixels, right? That thing could zoom from that far, right? So it was a zoom lens. It just captured the moment from far away, right? I think that was when we introduced to the idea of phones having more megapixels and being used for zoom and whatever other applications. So right now we're moving on to 192 megapixels. So this is the maximum, as they say. Who's this? Qualcomm. It's called Qualcomm. Yeah, it's Qualcomm. The company that makes Snapdragon CPUs. So they've said that their company or their CPUs are actually capable of having cameras taking pictures up to that level, or having that much megapixels. It's just that for most phones it's not something that has been activated, because most phones don't need that much, but they're saying that their phones are well capable of doing that. And we've seen phones like your, what is it called, I think it's Vivo something, with 48 megapixels came out last year, I think, or this year, I think late last year, 48 megapixels. So they're saying that later this year might have a phone, but they didn't mention the the company that is to make the phone. I think they said something like 64 to 100 megapixels. Yeah, man. Man. See, so there's some of the things that you just can't comprehend, like with your imagination, the possibilities with that. Thing is, the phones with that size of what's this? Taking that size of images have to be well configured, sort of, or spec'd in terms of the CPU for processing, and also the the storage, right? So you have to have a lot of storage in order to store those images. They've been talking about what's this other thing, HDR10. They're developing their own sort of system, sort of to compete with the Samsung. Not necessarily making it because of Samsung, because I think that's where the video standards were all moving, right? So they're just making their own system, HDR10. Those are things that will require, they say these things are, I think I explained with the Samsung Galaxy, that thing edits or has information regarding a frame by frame by frame basis. So it would be like similar to color grading each frame to match the whole video, color grading frame by frame. That what happens with the new Samsung Galaxy S10's HDR10 Plus, right? So Qualcomm is also in talking about the same or similar concept, right? So we have phones that have 90 or 64 to 100 megapixels and shooting that quality of footage. Man, the possibilities are endless, right? So I've seen recently the a video from a guy. What's the name of the YouTube channel? The YouTube channel is called, I think, Make Art Now, right? The guy had this what is it called? Had this camera, right? It's called, it's BCKM or something like that. Let me check. Where is the thing? It's BMP CC4K. BMP CC4K. Okay, let me check just to make sure that I'm talking about the right thing here. Okay, so I'm being disturbed by a lot of things that are written in here. I think people are angry about this Eskom thing. I don't think I'm the only one, right? Because yeah, man, this Eskom thing, terrible thing for our economy in South Africa. Small businesses are being affected the most. Yeah, here's the camera. It's called BMP CC4K. The camera I've been asking for and whatever. This camera is made by Black Magic, right? So these guys, I know them from making there's an editing software called, it's free actually, it's called DaVinci Resolve. I've used the thing. It's actually very good. So this camera shoots at 4K 60 frames per second. This thing is a monster, right? This camera is just, yeah, man. this is a monster, right? It's $1,200, so 1,200 US dollars translated into rands, and that will come out to 1.2 by 14. That would come out to something like 16,000 or something. Let's check the camera, then the calculator. 1,200 by 14. Yeah, 16.8. So it will be somewhere 17,000. That's before taxes. So we're looking at something like 20 something thousand, and something that I aim to buy in the future. Obviously, as a filmmaker, that's my stuff. That's the stuff I'm into. This guy was talking about what did he talk about? Oh, he talked about the compression, right? So they are compression. I haven't studied them that much. That concept of compression. Okay. Gotta charge this thing. The last time this thing just went off while I was recording. Man, I was so furious. See, when your electronics are getting old and we broke, it's just a mess. Just a mess, right? So it didn't even notify me the last time that it was going out of battery. All I saw was flappy. Okay, so these things like your bit rates, right? So if you know how a camera works, it's two cameras can both shoot 4K, right? That's fine, that's easy, right? But the quality will be determined by how first the bit rate, so how many pixels or megabytes of data are collected after each second, right? So mostly, or the camera I use, I think this one I'm shooting right now, or with right now, I think it does 1080p at 29 to 30 megabytes per second. That's called your bit rate, right? So with that bit rate, when you go higher to things like your 4K, you find out that the bit rate is so high that you'll need a very spacious memory card, and on top of that you're going to need a very powerful laptop or computer to actually edit the footage, right? So what happens is there is a compression, right? Compression depends on not the laptop, depends on the camera and the configurations, right? Some compressions are good and some compressions are bad, right? So with most people, what I've heard in the past few months following filmmakers around the world or on the YouTube space, they've been talking about the 12:1 compression, right? So I'm thinking 12:1, what does that mean? It will mean that whatever space that the thing is, it is compressed down to, let's say a file is 24 megapixels, no, megabytes, right? It will be divided by 2. I think that's too basic. I don't think that's how the concept works. Okay, the concept works that way. I'm not sure if that's the exact meaning of the thing. So as soon as I have the listeners in this podcast, obviously one can correct me. And then what people have been talking about is that thing, and also when they're complaining about a certain 4K, what I've seen is with the phones and whatever. So this phone shoots 4K, but the compression rate is this, right? So some compressions are bad, some compressions are good, and the 12:1 compression is what most people have wanted from Canon and other camera manufacturers, right? And these guys at Blackmagic, they've done that, and people are happy. This guy was just showing us footage. Okay, there is another thing. Okay, let me just bam 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 bam. Okay, so as I was saying, this guy was showing us how this compression is a good thing. So it's his video. Let me recommend this one. If you're a filmmaker, you have to watch this guy. Just subscribe to him. Yesterday I found him out yesterday. His editing, man, is sick. Okay, so his channel, as I've said, is called Make Art Now. Alright, what's the thing? The video is called BMP, so Black Magic, what is it called? Black Magic, what? Pocket Cinema camera update. Yeah, that's what the video is called. So as I was saying, this guy shoots raw, right? So I understand the concept of raw from shooting images or pictures, right? So when I shoot raw, what I mean is I'm taking in all the information that is in the picture, right? I'm just taking it all in, and what I'm doing is when I'm editing, I can change literally anything, not anything, let's not put it that way. Yeah, I can change most of the aspects of that image and the quality won't be affected, right? So I can change the colors to my liking, make sure that I do whatever I want, right? To change or manipulate the image, and quality won't be affected at all, right? So that's the main idea behind shooting raw. That's why I love shooting raw with images as well. Alright, because if you made a mistake, you can just simply fix it in post. So what did happen? This guy was shooting with his camera, as I was saying. His camera shoots raw, and this update was something like, so if you know most, I started shooting using this phone, and I downloaded the Lightroom app. But downloading the Lightroom app, and then used Lightroom to take pictures. So when using Lightroom, I would have file names called .dng. .dng means it's a raw file, right? It means I can change information however I like most of the time. But this is a 12 megapixel camera, so it's limited in that space, so I can't zoom in the way I want and do whatever I want to do. What happened is with that camera, the Blackmagic cinema camera, no, Blackmagic pocket cinema camera, right? What 1 megapixels is that thing? I think it was 100, yeah, something like that. Let's check. Whoa. What megapixels is this thing? Where's specs? I know it can shoot raw. Just on the specs. Shooting resolution. I know it's 4K, man. Where's the thing? No. Cinema TNG. Okay, so they didn't write the thing here, but I think it was 100 megapixels, right? 100 MP. What I wanted to talk about was, if you're having 100 megapixel, okay, damn, the camera battery now is dying. Okay, this podcast has to go off. Okay, so if you have a 100 megapixels camera compared to a 14 meg or 12 megapixel camera, you seeing the difference most. So what happened, or how the previous RAW happened, is that the camera just shot like if I had my camera here just shooting raw images, right? So if you know a video is made of 24 images, let's say 24 frames per second, 24 images, right, making up that video. What happened, or how the camera operated the last time, was to shoot those 24 images, then combine them into a video, then edit whatever you wanted, however you wanted to edit the thing. So in this case now, after this update, this guy says it's a new sort of system. It's not that just the old DNG type of RAW, it's the new RAW system. And when the guy edited, okay, I want to talk about editing as well. So I've written there about patience, right? More patient than a serial killer. That's how patient I wanna be. That guy, you see, seeing that much edit going into a video, man, no one expecting that, or no one even wanting that. There's some pure art there with that guy. I want to get to that point where I edit crazily everything in my videos. That guy is inspiring, to be honest, and the way he uses not 3D graphics in his videos, man. And then the recordings, the raw files or raw recording, when he was showing this new format, right, raw format, man. The color grading that was this possible because of that thing, man. And some of the things that will make you just want to jump and make something new and create something. Obviously I'm more motivated to create raw files or to make raw videos in the future. Obviously my camera doesn't do that, so I'll have to buy a new camera, but for now I'll just have to focus on making sure that this channel succeeds, my podcast and whatever, so that I can be independent and then make the stuff I like making. Right, so my camera is going to shut down. I think I'm gonna talk until it shuts off. Is that professional to do? No, it's not, but we're gonna do it anyway. So yeah, that guy edits like crazy, man. I want to edit like that, but the thing is, I think I'm still new. I shouldn't focus that much on that type of editing, because it's gonna deter me from posting consistently, which will mean that my channel won't grow that fast, and that will be against my, I think, my latest video that I'm gonna upload, that says I want to make my channel possible to make me enough money to not be forced to work afterwards, or after school, which is in 2 years from now. Okay, another thing is this camera. So there's this 4K it's, whoa, this is not 4K, man. 4096 by 2160, that's not 4K. That's something a bit above 4K. Okay, but 4K 3840 by 2160, this camera shoots at 110 megabytes or megabits per second. Damn, that's your bit rate. That's what I was talking about, right? So let's say you have a 10-second clip of 4K, right? So at this bit rate, 110 megabits per second, that will be something like a 1 gig file. Just 10 seconds. I think even more than 1 gig. You could see how that could be a problem. Let's say you have a 10-minute file. How big will that be now if a 10-second clip is just 1 gig, right? So if 10 minutes by gig, it's 6 gigs per minute, and then by 10, 60 gigs for a 10 minutes clip. That doesn't look very attractive. Obviously I might be missing something there, but I think that's how megabits and whatever work, right? Yeah, man. I think I had a joke written of some sort. I think I'm just gonna do a separate video and post it alone. Obviously, if when I have followers on my channel or viewers, I'll be able to comment and do whatever with that thing I tried to write today. Obviously, I wanna try to write more jokes. Obviously, I wanna be a comedian. Obviously, I've said that. Obviously, I'm trying to do that now. Trying to not just say, I'm trying to do things, make things happen, man. It's that stage of my life. I wanna read more books as well. Yeah, I think that's it. Obviously, I had. Okay, I'm just gonna do that joke later because the camera is just shutting down any second from now. Okay, you've heard it from this West or Boring podcast only in room 15B. Your host was Soma Degisi. Nice talking to you. Eskom is busy screwing us over with this load shedding thing, but we'll survive. We've been here before. We'll still go on. Alright? Okay. Have a good one. Peace.